365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Welcome everybody to Real Talk. We got a surprise guest in the building for the first time in a long time. I forgot what he looked like, but man, it's good to see him. Freddie, how's it been going? Where you been?
I'm good, man. But you know what's funny? I get called a guest. That's the show I'm
It's been so long, you might as well be.
They said a guest. Oh man, I'm just glad that I can come on here and school you gentlemen, just like I normally do. It's been a while, but I'm ready to go.
Well, we definitely look forward to hearing Freddie Facts. And did you want to talk to the people about Freddie Facts?
Oh, they seen the first episode today of Freddie Facts. I done dropped some gems. Hey, I done gave knowledge. I done did all that great stuff. So they know what's up when it comes to me.
Okay.
You're welcome.
A new show, another new show on the network, rather. The network is blowing up. So y'all definitely continue to like, share, and subscribe to the ASAP All Sports All Plays YouTube as more and more things are coming, as well as the ASAP Plus YouTube page for new shows over there. But I also got the coach, old reliable, Mr. Kenny. How's it going, sir?
I'm good, man. Good. Always good to be on, and it's good to see Freddie come out of hiding. I thought maybe because his Lakers were so bad that he was, just depressed and didn't want to come on anymore. But I'm just glad that he's here. And again, you're welcome for the title for your show. I'm still waiting for my check.
Time out. Mr. Ray, you introduced me as a guest, but you said, "Oh, Mr. Reliable."
That's right. I'm here every week. Because I'm here every week, unlike yourself.
I call it how I see it.
There you go.
Oh,
that's all that is.
You like AD Reliable. He's like
that's not good.
That's hilarious.
Shout out to the people we got here joining us. But fellas, we got a great game going on. NC State on mine, and if y'all are ahead of me, I apologize. For the women's Elite Eight game is now up 1 on UConn. So it went to overtime. UConn had a chance to take the lead. Blew 2 free throws. So it looks like Paige just knocked down a free throw, and she has a chance to hit another one. I think at the time of before overtime started, UConn, I think they said was 1 of 7 from the free throw line. So definitely if this game does not go in their favor, you can look back and say that they left a lot of points on the board. But unlike, this game and a lot of college basketball, and sometimes with women where it's not competitive and people are just getting smacked all around, we had quite the smackdown last night. Slightly related to sports, although Will Smith has played a boxing legend. And he put that to the test. Rock needs to get in some more fight movies and learn how to bob and weave or move his head, because his chin was high and he felt the hand of God there. So we're going to get into that before we start it off. Do something a little different on this sports network, but it is culturally based. So I'm just going to kind of open it up to you guys. I think we
No.
No?
I want to start. I want you to start it.
Oh, man, you want me to start? All right. Well, I always give you the real talk, so you know what you're going to get when it comes to me. Shout out to Chris, who's run from me on a number of occasions, and those are facts on our Friday show, Fast Break. But glad to see he's joining us here this evening. We don't have any Chris Paul topics, Chris, so if you end up logging off, no harm, no foul. But we definitely appreciate you joining us here today, and everybody else. So I'll get into it. Actually, UConn is up quickly, up 3 now with 40 seconds left. So did want to give you guys that update, and I'll try to update as this game comes to a close. But I was pretty disturbed. My initial takeaway was I saw social media And social media has a way of humorizing really, really serious and emotional moments. And I think there are times where that it's a great benefit of social media to make light of real issues that have real ramifications and impact. But my problem is social media can also send a narrative that is false. And this idea that defending a woman's honor is assaulting another individual, I think is a very dangerous proposition, especially in the world that we live in. We have seen what crime is like. We've seen what maybe the environments we've grown up in, and putting your hands on another individual in any environment is unacceptable. I think it was a calculated decision by Mr. Smith to find the miniature in stature black man to target, to take out his frustration that I think has been building for years. I do not think if that was Howard Stern, or if that was Leonardo DiCaprio, or if that was a woman, that he would have taken the same course of action. I think he saw an opportunist, and it also was somebody that was significantly smaller than him in a position that had little recourse. Imagine if that turned into the Malice at the Palace because Chris Rock chose to respond in kind, which he would have been certainly well within his rights to do. I think it's shameful that in an environment that Will Smith won a phenomenal, life-changing award, that's been overshadowed. There were a lot of great things that happened last night, and none of them are being talked about. Because to me, Will Smith made a selfish decision to defend the honor of a woman, but I really think he was defending his own honor. Like, he laughed. He was content with the joke, as was most everyone else, until he saw maybe she kicked him under the table. Like, can you believe he said this? And all of a sudden,
you saw her reaction. That's what triggered him.
He put that battery in his back to go and do something that she and the family doesn't benefit from. This isn't good. Your biggest potential moment in your life will always have an quote unquote asterisk next to it. And as a woman, even when a man wants to defend you in that way, I think their onus also becomes on her to say, you know what, babe, it's not worth it. Like, you need to be a voice of reason in his ear as he's running up there. And if you know your husband and they've been married as long as they have, she should have went up there and grabbed him, to me personally. Somebody should have intervened. And then after the slap happened, for him to walk away with his back turned told me everything I needed to know. He knew there was no threat. So he took advantage of a situation, because I guarantee you, if he did that on the streets of West Philadelphia, you square up. You don't turn your back and then walk away casually with a smile on your face because you think everything's lovely. You better either get the running or you better get your hands ready. So I just thought it was really in poor taste. Since then, as we're live, both have released apologies. I do not think Chris Rock deserved to apologize. We see this on every single award show. Every single award show, they go through this. When KD first left Golden State, Peyton Manning killed him at the ESPYs. We have seen a number of people get just lambasted because the point is to make fun of it. It's a joke. And if you are that self-conscious about your appearance, don't come to the award show. You know how these go. You boycotted before. Don't come. But to think that you are above a joke, when we've heard people joke about Lil Wayne's appearance, we've heard men joke about, or people joke about people's weight. We've heard people joke about other conditions that people have, and all of a sudden this gets you to that point. I thought it was tasteless. I thought it was clown behavior, and I expected a lot more from him. Freddie, as much as you give me grief about my Ye support, I can only imagine the narrative if he was the one that did that. If he had reacted the same exact way Will Smith did, the narrative is completely different. He needs to be committed. He needs to be back on his meds, all the other things. And even people bringing up his Taylor Swift thing, I think is a false equivalency. I get it, but it ain't the same. And so the Grammys did all they could to keep drama from happening, and Will Smith still brought it to their door. So I'll get out the way for a little bit, kind of respond to you guys, but I was extremely disappointed in Will. I was very, very, surprised and appreciative of Chris Rock, who I have not always been a fan of his professionalism, and not because he could have kept joking. Like, he could have said, "Oh, you want to go take it there?" And it looked like he said, "I could keep going." but he didn't. Then he didn't rush him, which he would have been well within his right to do, and he didn't press charges, and he was the first to apologize, which to me just says everything you need to know about class and professionalism that Will clearly lacks, and he needs help. So it was disappointing for me, but I know how the internet works. I know that Will is another meme, and sadly, Chris Rock might not ever outlive this because that picture is going to live in infamy the same way Jordan crying has, the same way Nick Young has. Like, this is going to be a thing for the foreseeable future. So it's unfortunate that someone that took the high road is going to be looked at a certain way, but that's life. Just quick update. UConn is at the line for 2. They just hit 1. I'm sorry, that for 1. It's a 3-point game, 28 seconds to go. But I will turn it over to you, Freddie. You seem to disagree with some things I had to say. So,
listen, man. First off, we're going to give this man his props, the reason why he was there. King Richard, if you haven't watched the movie, you need to watch it, find it. Great movie. What he did for Serena and Venus and their dad. Well deserving. He should have had won an Oscar way before now. But proud of that moment. And so listen, man. We all know Chris Rock is a comedian. Sometimes there are certain things that are below the belt. Certain things are below the belt. Part 2. We know what the relationship is between Jada and Will Smith. We know the things that she has said about her husband. But, Ray, I disagree with you when you said that doesn't do anything for the family. Because to me, that was a big statement to the family. It showed me to say, you know what? Even though you done threw my name out there, even though you done did some things, I still love you. And as your husband, I'm going to defend you. And Chris Robinson, I see your comments in there. But you know, she came out publicly a few years ago about that. And you mean to tell me nobody there, when they read the jokes or whatever, didn't know anything about that? Come on now. Somebody knew about that. Hey. These celebrities gossip just like regular people do. Yes, I agree. Will Smith could have handled it a lot better. He could have. But we have to remember, gentlemen, it's in the heat of the moment. When things are in the heat of the moment, a lot of time people don't make the right decision. A lot of time people think with their emotions, with their feelings, and do what their feelings tell them to do first. So, yes, he was laughing first. But what does a man do when they see that their family is hurting? The first thing comes in their mind is to defend the family. He looked at Jada, seeing that she was upset, hurt about it, and he said, okay, it is my job to protect my wife. It is my job to protect my wife.
But Freddie, was she really that hurt by it? All she did was roll her eyes.
But Kenny, you know just like I know. One thing about African American women, hell, even Caucasian women, bro, they pride themselves in their appearances. They pride themselves in their hair, their makeup, and all that stuff. Could you imagine going through something like that? Going to the public, you already coming there with some type of set emotion of that.
You could have wore a wig if you were that self-conscious.
Exactly. Like if you're wearing your hair out like that, to me, that's saying that you're comfortable.
And she had short hair before the alopecia.
Yeah.
Her hair's
maybe that she's coming out that way to say, you know what? I'm ready to address the world, and I hope
you're
the world
embracing it. So
who I am.
So then it's not.
That's
the case. Then it's not an area of. So if you're embracing it, then to me that's saying that you're not. It's not an area of sensitivity or area that or you're going to take offense from.
Hey, because guess what? He didn't address it backstage. Chris Rock addressed it on the stage. Hey, what he did was, like I said, heat of the moment.
So
go ahead.
No, I'm gonna let you finish and then I'll respond.
No, like I said, it's in the heat of the moment. And we've all been in the heat of the moment at times and probably didn't handle that situation the way that we would like to. Maybe once we didn't cool down and we say, you know what, I could have handled that a lot better than if I would have stopped and thought about it. So I'm pretty sure if he would have sat down and he would have let it process through his mind, he wouldn't have addressed it the way that he did.
So you
But
think a professional of his ilk, who has been in a ton of high tense situations, had that little self control?
I believe that his mindset was, I am the husband. It is my job to defend and protect my wife.
And that was as smart as Will is, and I think we all think he's smart. That was the best way to protect her.
And that
That's what
she
it came up.
wasn't, but she protected from what?
Like I said, it is the heat of the moment, bro. She's getting
But what is he?
humiliated.
But what is he protecting her from? A joke?
Humiliation.
Freddie, do
No.
you really think if he doesn't go up there and slap Chris Rock, anybody cared about that joke or would have remembered that joke today?
They would have kept everybody would
Look at
laugh.
how
Everybody
good it
laughed for
was,
two.
probably.
Everybody would laugh for 2 seconds and kept it moving.
There would have been
So-
other jokes that he would have kept getting off, and that would have just been a drop in the bucket of a bunch of jokes.
And
The
if you go
only
back,
issue-
this isn't the first joke that he didn't threw at her.
and
But,
guess
okay.
what? People didn't remember or care.
And did he rush the stage when Regina Hall made the joke about their marriage? No.
Bro,
Is
he's not married.
that below the belt? That's not below the belt?
Yeah, yes, but he at that time. Okay, yes, you're right, Kitty. But guess what? It's building up. When things start to build up, bro, guess what? Eventually, a man can take so much. Kenny,
I guess.
Then you
Kenny,
should
let me
probably
ask you
get out of that
something. When you
situation.
said that, hold on, Ray, hold on. When you said that, Kenny, a man keep coming to you and disrespecting you, and you say, "All right, bro, all right, it's gone somewhere."
No,
with that.
I get it.
You keep doing it.
I'm not saying that that's not valid.
You know,
Everybody has their
eventually
breaking point.
you're gonna break, bro. Everybody
No,
have a breaking point.
I can agree with that. I guess my only counter to that would be that where was this same energy when she was going on Red Table Talks and talking about these entanglements and all of this stuff? Like, where was that energy at for that? Where he was just sitting there like a mute. You know what I mean? Like, where was this same anger and passion then?
No, I
second part-
agree. That's
and
why
the
I say right now it shows that they're in a different spot in their
No,
relationship.
and then it's. I guess the bad thing is that there's a time and a place for everything.
Mhm.
Understand? Like, if you felt like you were being disrespected like that, then you could have easily just waited until the break and gone backstage and then confronted him and been like, "Yo, this is not, that ain't blah blah blah."
But I want to
So-
give two shout outs to two black men that's powerful in this industry. Tyler Perry and Denzel Washington.
Absolutely.
For grabbing him, talking to him,
Ooh.
um,
NC State just hit a 3 in the corner to tie it up with 0.3 seconds left.
that's what we need. We need people that's in these big standards, the biggest guys in the movie business, actors, to say, okay, I believe Denzel said some of the lines say don't let in the biggest moment, don't let the devil creep in. He said something like that.
Yep.
But
But that was after the fact, though.
Yeah, it was after the fact. I mean, but it's like, okay, that's what we need. Like, that's cool.
So I'm going to push back on that. I was relatively disgusted by that part too, because nobody from security came to check on Chris Rock, and he was clearly shaken by what happened. He couldn't have remember. He was like, "It's a document. We're here to give away a documentary." Like, he was shaken by the moment. No one checked on him. Nobody made sure he was all right. He's the one that got assaulted. Like, where's the black
Chris
men?
Rock got a bad reputation.
That doesn't matter. If these are black men that are protecting and building black men, then why in the world are y'all not checking on that black man?
And what does Chris Rock have a bad reputation for?
I've heard what certain people have said, that he's a jerk. How he carried himself. And let's not sit here and act like that Chris Rock was not the reason why that happened. If he would have not punched below the belt,
again, though,
he talked about a sickness.
He didn't even know it was a sickness. And
all he said, and it wasn't like it wasn't like it wasn't like he said something. He made it light of it. He said, looking forward to G.I. Jane Part 2. Yeah, exactly.
If you actually
see
watch
G.I.
the
Jane,
movie,
you would know, you would get that joke. Like,
it's
to be more shaved ahead, just like Jada Pinkett. So like it wasn't that far out of bounds to me. Like, to me, it was just making light of it. So I don't think it was that serious for him to have to go up there and smack the dude in the face. And then on top of that, you out there talking about, keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. Like, you were clearly out of control. Like, you totally just hijacked the whole ceremony. So,
but you know what,
and that's the other thing. Hold on, that's the other part that makes it even worse. Like, this is of all stages, of all places, we already have a challenge of us getting representation on these award shows. Why go on that platform and do that? They already don't want us there as it is. Now you're giving them an excuse for them to not want us there. That's the biggest part for me.
And kind of getting to that point, by all accounts, most people expected him to win. Like, I think it was kind of one of those anxious moments where almost like the Ahmaud Arbery case, where he felt like they should get convicted. But there's always that anxious energy. By and large, Will was going to have a platform to speak on that joke. And he could have spoken on it the same way he did in his acceptance speech, where he gave the weak apology to the Academy Awards and not the Chris Rock in that moment, where he had a bunch of time to think about what he did and still didn't apologize. He had an opportunity to speak on the joke at that point, and he could have defended his family then. But he was so, to Kenny's point, out of control that after you assaulted a man, then you should have been saying that before you went up there and slapped him. If you say it before you go up there, people might receive it completely different. And the message is still clear. Do I think that would have been better? No, I don't think you should be flagrantly cussing at the comedian who's trying to do a job. No. But that's a much better alternative than to assault him and then come back and berate him after you already assaulted him. Like, the resolve that Chris Rock had is something that should be studied. Because for most people, especially most black men, the same way people are talking about he embarrassed Jada to millions of people, Chris Rock got a family too. And their kids just watching their dad get slapped on TV by another man, and he didn't do nothing.
What you mean he didn't do nothing? What do you mean, right?
No, he didn't respond back to it. Are you saying he didn't respond back to it?
Right. If you're talking about the jokes that have happened in the course of a lifetime, this is so far from the bottom of the list of crossing the line. Below the belt, are y'all kidding me?
So Ray, what man is going to allow? Hold on, bro. What man is going to allow another man to talk about his wife's sickness that we don't know how she's coping with?
It would be okay. So here's why I would go with you. Like, if she stood up, rolled her eyes, and and started actually responding back to him, or if you did something along that lines, then I would understand him feeling the need to respond. But all she did was roll her eyes. Like, she didn't take he took more offense to it than she did. So that's where I think you're missing it. Like,
well, at
all
first,
she did was like,
was
oh, really?
At first.
Her face was like, her body language was like, really? That's where we going? And that was it.
Yeah, at first he started laughing until he
heard he laughed. So
and he looked at her, and he thought she was hurt, and then that's when he said,
"Okay." Again, though, all she did was roll her eyes, though, Freddie. It wasn't like she was like, "You see what she didn't give him a look like." Did you see what he just said? Then I could understand him respond, but she was just like, "Oh, really? That's what we doing?" That's what her look. That's what her look.
I was disappointed by on Will's case was the fact that you did this on an Oscar, the movie for the Williams family, their dad, and hell, this is the first Oscar you're winning. I was disappointed because now when we think about it, we're not going to think about that. We're going to think about what Chris Rock said about his wife, and when he came on stage and he slapped a man. That's what we're gonna think about. That's
true.
that's the thing that I'm most disappointed about
Yeah.
in her because, hey, I don't care. Nobody said Will Smith he's one of the most talented actors there is in this industry. In the industry.
So I'll speak to
But
that.
I don't
Well,
see the
here's the
correlation there,
thing.
man.
So, and I think it wasn't Amy Schumer. Somebody came out and said it. So, heckling's a thing. If anybody's been to a comedy club, the comedian on stage finds a target.
Absolutely.
For a variety of different reasons. And they target that person. That's comedy. That's like a foundational point of comedy. So that's where I'm lost in this. Like, he attacked her. It was a fleeting joke. He had just joked on another couple and said, if she don't win, you bet not win.
Right.
Because it could cause a problem. If I'm him, I'm like, what you mean I can't win? I worked my butt off. Who cares if she didn't do good enough? Like, you could go a bunch of different ways, but like, that is what happens. I could see if this was a one-off event, it was unique. People have been joking on people for every sporting event that has happened. I'm sorry, every award show that happens. When they always get a comedian as a host for a reason.
Right. For a part of the monologue. It goes with the territory.
SNL is SNL for a reason. They have guests on SNL, and every single guest comes on and tells jokes, usually about their own family or themselves or what they're going through. This is normal. Her making this about her, and it's so egregious, is a joke. Like I said, they talk about men's hair, women's fashion and design, who wore what outfit. They criticize people all the time.
But not about sickness, though.
But that's not sickness.
Two different things.
You are equating it to sickness because
that's not.
He came on and said that. Chris Rock didn't say, yeah, with your alopecia head, you need to go make G.I. Jane 2. He didn't say that.
But but he knows the reason why she's bald is because she got that sickness.
Freddie, that is a crazy assumption to make. If Jada's been wearing her hair long before she had alopecia. Jada's had short hair almost her entire career.
Right. She came out and said that she had it in 2018, bro.
Freddie, how many people? Let's be clear. What was the last great movie Jada made?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I didn't know she had it until this, all went down. So I found out about it as
men
all
are
this
looking
happened,
for Jada to speak. Most men don't like Jada because of the way she keeps treating Will. So we're not waiting to see when she makes an announcement on her hair when it's already been short. I'm pretty tuned into like entertainment life. I didn't know that she had made this confession. Like, I had kind of muted Jada because I was sick of seeing the dumb stuff she kept doing. So even if that was the case, now had Jada gone to Chris, because apparently he's a family friend, before the show and said, hey, this is a sensitive topic for me. If you're going to do your thing, leave me out of it. And he did it anyway. That's a different conversation. But that hasn't been put out by anybody on either side of the camp. And by all accounts, Chris Rock didn't even write this joke. He was.
But guess what? Okay, that's you want to go there, Dre? Let's go there. But you know what? He's seen the joke. He could have went down to Jada and said, "Hey."
That's the whole point. The fact that he used it tells you that he didn't think that it was that big a deal.
But still, bro, somebody knew that this was an issue. He could have went to say,
"Hey, they didn't think that it was an issue enough for it to be out of bounds for a comedy."
But listen what I'm saying. He could have went to Jada and said, hey, I'm planning on using this joke today. And then, you know what? She probably would have took it a whole lot differently.
So every comedian from here on out needs to go.
We got to be careful. So now we're going to censor comedy and make sure it's okay. Material. We got to check with people to make sure if they're going to be
when it's below the belt, yes. When it's below the belt, yes.
That's not, but that's your perception. Though everybody doesn't think that that's below the belt. Like, to me, I didn't see that as being below the belt.
So
even knowing that she has alopecia, I didn't think that was below the belt. I think it was just a joke.
Wow. I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to be done with it. this was a little 2-minute moment to make Chris Rock relevant again. He hadn't been relevant for quite some time. Honestly.
He was relevant enough to get the nod to give the speech.
I mean, nobody's gonna take their money.
And what are you saying that now he's nobody knows who Chris Rock is? Like
they know who he is, but
he's more relevant than Jada.
Yeah, everybody knew Chris Rock is, but he hasn't been relevant in quite some time, honestly, bro. Like he's kind of.
So are you saying that he did that this is making him relevant?
Yeah. His name has been talked way more than his in the last couple of years, bro. I mean, be honest. Chris Rock's name has been mentioned more.
As a matter of fact, him and Kevin Hart are about to do a tour together in arenas. So knock it off, man.
And who's the headline? Who's the headline?
They're co-headliners.
No.
Kevin Hart, and I'm not the hugest Kevin Hart fan, but let's be clear. He's the Michael Jordan of comedy today. He's the biggest star in comedy.
That's why I say it's Kevin Hart. He's the.
But you can't name.
He got to ride Kevin Hart.
You can't
don't act like Chris Rock is not a comedic giant. Like we're not going to do that.
Freddie, who else would Kevin Hart do a comedy special with and he would come out first?
Huh?
Who would Kevin Hart open for in comedy today?
Pretty much everybody.
What? He would open
Chappelle,
maybe Chappelle.
Yeah, that's probably.
And that's a maybe. If it's on Netflix, Chappelle might come out second. But if it's a tour, Kevin Hart is the draw.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that he had to use this to get relevant because nobody been talking.
Oh, stop it.
Two, he's riding Kevin Love's coattail because he ain't. Come on, bro. There's never been a year to say, oh, Chris Rock has been the best comedian of all. Like, no.
Jada's never been the best actress of anything.
Have you forgotten who started the HBO comedy specials in it? Who ran the 90s or the early 2000s in terms of HBO comedy specials?
But
that was Chris Rock.
Can I understand that? But has he ever in his career been known as the best comedian in the game?
Of course, he's always been known as one of the best comedians in the game.
No, not one of the best. Said the best.
So you're saying Kevin Hart is known as in the game?
Right now, Kevin Hart is known as the best comedian.
That's subjective.
So
right
Freddie,
now,
because even let's go with Freddie's argument.
Because I would say Chappelle.
Just making stuff up. But
that's subjective.
Even if you are right, and he hasn't been named the number one funniest man alive, that doesn't mean he's irrelevant. That just means he ain't the greatest.
He just hasn't been relevant the last couple of years.
In any room he walks in, and you want to talk about comedians that crossed over, he was one of the first.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
And we can talk about Chappelle and Kevin Hart and Chris Tucker and all these other guys that came after him, but that crossed over.
So Chris Rock is your top 5 comedians.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have Murphy, Pryor, Rock, Chappelle.
There's plenty of people that would name Chris Rock as a top 5.
100%.
Without question.
Chris Rock is not a top 5 comedian of all time, bro. No.
And Jada's not a top 20 actress of all time. So what are we talking about?
But guess what? Bald headed or not, she's still a very beautiful woman. I don't care.
She is.
And her husband.
But we're not going to sit here and say that Chris Rock is irrelevant. We're not doing that.
He is, bro. Come on.
We're not doing that.
He has not been relevant.
Get out of here. Wow. Get out of here with that.
I'm taking Eddie Murphy over him any day of the week.
Get out of here.
That's fine.
I'm taking Chris Tucker over him any day of the week.
But again, that's subjective, though. That's your opinion.
I'm taking Steve Harvey over him.
Now you trolling that. All right, so we have the UConn game. It's a 2-point game with 10 points.
Thank you, Damien. Hey, no. You see what Damien? You didn't want to bring up Damien's comment.
I did. I showed Damien's comment.
Oh,
now, Damien's a great person.
Man, get out of here with that.
He also says some crazy stuff sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta let Damien be Damien.
And Everybody Hates Chris was a hilarious sitcom. So
it was. He did do good. He did do good.
Not since no Lethal Weapon. Get out of here with that.
That was the last good one.
But with that being said, we are talking and we're watching the women's college basketball, but men's college basketball is kind of solidified. The Cinderellas, for lack of a better term, have gone on home. The great stories have ended. The coaches will get pay raises and move on as necessary and customary in these situations. But we've had, I believe, a phenomenal tournament. I think if you are Vegas, you've had a great tournament with some of these upsets. Especially Kentucky's going out early. I think we have one seed off the top of my head.
Yeah, Kansas
that's left, and they looked really good. And I wish I wrote down my Final Four because I think I was pretty close. I know I had Duke, North Carolina. I think I had Kansas. I might have had. I think Arizona was already out by then, but I should have wrote it down and UConn has just won 91-87, so they go to, I believe, their 15th straight Final
16.
Four, which is 16, which is just absolutely ridiculous. To continue to do that as the 2 seed. So they did upset the number 1 seed, and they are going to the Final Four. They will cut down the nets yet again. UConn. Oh no, it says advanced to 14 straight Final Four.
Okay, no, it's 16 straight Elite Eights. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to NC State. Phenomenal year. Definitely that 3 in the corner. They had great resolve and great fight. So it just happens, and this is what happens when you get to this point in the tournament. You get the best of the best. You get the teams that have been in the close games and know how to execute. So no, congratulations to them. But yes, we have. Oh, that's the women's bracket. I need to look at the men's bracket.
And damn man, Chris Rock's voice was the voice that was narrating. Everybody hates Chris. What are you talking about?
So we have Duke, North Carolina,
troll,
Villanova, and Kansas. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go back and watch the tape. I think I got all them right, actually. Now I'm thinking about it.
Nah, I was way off.
But nonetheless, we have fittingly Duke, North Carolina. Potentially, Coach K gets a chance to get back at North Carolina in his potentially final game. Got his 100th tournament win. Villanova, Kansas, 2 powerhouses definitely of late. Villanova might have been maybe the best college basketball team in the last 5 years with the run that they've been on.
For sure.
So, Kenny, as the coach, which game are you most excited about, and what do you think of the tournament so far?
Well, first I'll say what I think of the tournament so far. This tournament has been really exciting. Just seeing these Cinderella runs and seeing these upsets happen. I think this has probably been the most exciting tournament we've had in a few years because of the nature of the upsets and how many of those happen. And then of course being a northern guy. New York, growing up in New Jersey and seeing St. Peter's have their run, that was really fun to see. And so this has been a really fun tournament to watch. It's been a really fun tournament to follow and cover. But in terms of this Final Four, I don't think you probably couldn't ask for a better matchup. I mean, you got the Duke and North Carolina in the Final Four. Probably the only better matchup would have been them, advancing in the Final Four and playing for the championship. That probably the only way it could have been any better. But just to see that matchup again, especially after what we saw, the way that UNC ruined Coach K's last home game and kind of ran them off the court. Just to see that rematch, I just think that's super. It's super exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. And just the game within the game. You got the in terms of the coaching matchup, you got the royalty, the guy that's the quote unquote. He's pretty much the dean of college coaches in terms of Coach K, going against the young guy, Hubert Davis, who's in his first year as a head coach and being able to go to the Final Four. I just think that all of those storylines is just a lot of great storylines. So it's going to be really fun to watch. And then you got on the other side, like you said, you got two great programs that have really had a lot of long tournament runs. Kansas and Villanova. Villanova, we talked about Villanova. I just love watching them play because they're just so fundamentally sound. They always play off of 2 feet. They make the extra pass. They guard. They play hard. So they just do everything right, and that's a testament to Jay Wright. And then you got Kansas, who I kind of have a little bad blood against Kansas because like I said before, They knocked out Memphis that one year in the finals when, you know, my uncle was on staff. So I'm still a little mad at them. So I kind of hope they lose, but that's besides the point. But that's going to be a great matchup. Remy Martin has really shown himself to be a big-time player. So I'm really curious to see that matchup between him and Brian. I don't want to mess up his last name, but the point guard for Villanova.
Archie Diacono.
There you go. I definitely want to see those guys kind of go at it. And then the other thing is, what's really sad is the young man. I think his name is Justin Moore. Yeah, I'm really sad for him. That's just really, you know, terrible just for him to not be able to experience the Final Four. So I really feel bad for him, and it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to be able to bounce back from that because he was a big contributor to their team. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and who steps up for them. But the great thing about Villanova is that we know is that they always, you know, even when somebody goes down, there's always someone that comes and steps up. That's kind of how they're built, is that they're never built around one player. It's always a sum of their parts that makes them better as a team. So this is going to be two great matchups, and I'm really looking forward to watching them. You know, I might have to steal away for a little bit because well, actually, I'm not. It's this weekend. I was getting a little nervous there. I'm getting married next weekend, so I thought I might have to steal away. And
are you?
Yeah, I am.
Oh man, congratulations!
Thank you. So, but this is going on this weekend, so I don't got to worry about trying to sneak away and watch TV. So I'm really happy.
So whoa! You getting married? Where's my invite, man? You didn't get no invite out of nothing.
Nobody.
Yeah, y'all. I didn't think y'all would make the drive and make the flight all the way down to Jacksonville, but that's we'll have to talk about that offline.
Okay.
But yeah. Now I'm really excited about this. These are two heavyweight matchups, so these are gonna be fun to watch, and I think we're gonna have two close games. So then you're gonna really see the chess matches between the coaches.
Okay, Freddie, what you got?
Hey, I'm just happy. I'm excited. Coach K, my Duke. Hey man, this is all about storylines. The storylines are building up to go against the rival, go against the Carolina, just to go against them.
Thank you.
Hey, it's gonna be epic. It's gonna be a showdown. You get your revenge. They beat Arkansas. Hey, I'm just ready to see Coach K go out on top. I think that's what we all need to see. Him just
that
go
would
out
be the
on
perfect
top.
ending. Yeah.
Perfect Cinderella story. I think it's geared up for it, and hey, everybody's gonna be watching it. NBA, go ahead and don't even have no game schedule because everybody's gonna be watching that.
Just quick update because I know we're going to get to them here in a minute. Boston is currently up 2 against Toronto with 12 seconds left. So
who's winning that Golden State?
Memphis is up like 30 at halftime.
Oh my gosh.
Draymond, Clay, nobody's playing, so
that's
close
right,
for a minute.
Yeah.
And Memphis did what Memphis does, but they're reviewing a potential foul. It looks like a foul to me. And Siakam would be going to the line to shoot too, but still up under review at this moment. Freddie, I know I kind of cut you off. Good.
No. I was done.
Okay. No, I agree. I think the fitting ending would be Duke, Kansas, and Coach K winning. I think that would be great. I forget where the Final Four. Where is the Final Four at?
New Orleans.
In New Orleans. Okay, so yeah, that no real home team anywhere in that regard. But no, I think that would be great. I think the tournament has been really good. Thanks, Rick. It's actually closer than I think it was because I think it's worse than that at one point. But no, I think it's great. I think it's been great for the sport. I will say to the injury we saw, that's why I think the NIL is great.
Yeah,
potential.
Definitely. That's a great
athletes that run into that. They wouldn't be forced to try and recover to get ready for the league because they have another opportunity. And I'm sure we've seen St. Peter's and some of their players, how they've capitalized on this run. So there's other opportunities that you don't have to make necessarily a money decision and go to the draft early because of injury. So I definitely think that's one of the benefits that we see here with the NIL and what it's opening and allowing for some of these college athletes that unfortunately, because Achilles, that's a long recovery. Like that's that he's probably going to miss all of next year, regardless of where he would be at. Maybe if he went pro and got drafted, he might come back late towards the end of the season, but I don't even know if he was that talented that they would rush him back. So definitely, thoughts and prayers to him and his family. Obviously, it's a tough situation. And they did confirm the foul. Siakam made the first. It's 106, 105 currently. So, yeah, overall, I've been really impressed. And like I said, we got into the women's game earlier. They have really tightened it up here as of late. A lot of the chalk, so to speak, is there. Your usual suspects in women's college basketball there, which I think makes for great. And he made both. So it's 2 point. It's a tie game with 12 seconds left, and Boston looks like they're not going to call timeout. They're going to play it out. So I'll let you know how that ends up. But with all of that being said, turnover, and at the buzzer, they shot it above the backboard. So we're going to overtime. Another overtime game, ladies and gentlemen. But speaking of, women's college basketball and all the things that, we've kind of seen, the NFL came out with a statement that I don't know how I feel about it, to be perfectly honest. But I don't know if you guys saw that the NFL has, I guess you would say, expanded the Rooney Rule to require, like by force, that you have to have a minority as an offensive coach. And this could be a woman. And if you currently have a woman,
as a coordinator, either side, there have to be one. I have to be one of the coordinator positions.
I read it off. So it is either side?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna just double check though, just to make sure.
Yeah. But they're basically saying you have to have one.
No, it's offensive. You're right.
Okay, cool. So given that we've seen teams, Tampa Bay's one that has had an entire diverse staff and no one get hired. We've seen Eric Bieniemy get passed over year after year. We've seen some women, more and more women popping up. Washington has had a running backs coach and others. I think Arizona had one. Do you guys think that this moves the needle at all and better prepares teams or incentivizes teams to hire head coaches as minorities? Do you feel this is the right thing to do to force them to hire a minority candidate? Because if I'm a team that has no minority candidates and now I hire one and now I have one on my staff, then we know why you got the job. So you're likely not going to get promoted given that you only got the job as a token hire. So overall, and I'll start with you, Kenny, is this a good change? Is it a bad change? Will it make a difference or no?
I think it's a good change in that, making sure that there's a representation of minorities in that position is a good thing. I think I would have rather them had did it for both sides, like making it offense and defense and making it like you have to have either one or the other instead of just offensive. Like I would have rather it had been, it has to be a minority coordinator, either offense, defense, or even special teams. I would add that in there too as well, because special teams coaches do get hired as head coach. It's not as often as offensive and defensive coordinators, but defensive coordinators, special teams, coordinators do get hired as head coaches. Just looking at John Harbaugh and Joe Judge, those are two examples of two special teams.
Real quick, Kenny, to that point.
Yeah.
And my question to you is, do minority special teams coaches get hired?
They don't. Or they don't. We haven't seen that as of yet. So I could see that. That's a fair point. But I just think it would have been a little. It would have been a little fairer, I think, if you would have spread it out to the offense and defensive. What you saying, Freddie?
None.
Oh no, I just think it would have been. I think it would have been better if they said either offense or defense, either one or the other, not just offense, because the majority coaches, it's both sides of the ball that the coordinators get hired as head coaches. So I wouldn't want to just limit it to one side in terms of just offensive, having to have offensive coordinators as minorities and not defensive coordinators as minorities. I think it should be both. But I think it's a step in the right direction because, again, it's going to make sure that we have the right representation in those positions. And as a result, it's going to create more candidates for head coach openings. So I think it's a step in the right direction. I just think, I would like to see a couple of tweaks to it.
Ready?
I just don't like that there has to be a rule to do people right. Hire somebody that is capable of doing the job. Don't matter the skin tone. Don't matter none of that.
Hey, Freddie, sorry to interrupt you, but back to our initial point, I was just reading, and I am quoting the Shade Room, but they said Chris Rock has not yet issued a statement. There's a statement going around purporting to be from Rock that is not from him per his team. It's the one that starts as a comedian. It can be difficult to understand. So apparently Chris Rock has not apologized. I know.
So Will Smith was the bigger man. Oh, Mr. Ray.
He was the one in the wrong. He was the one.
And I said I was offended that Chris Rock apologized first. So
yeah, he was the one. He was the one that was in the wrong out of the two.
But you also said that I was offended that Will Smith was late on the apology.
I was because I don't.
Can you take those words back, Mister? Can you take those words back, Mister?
I'd stand corrected, but I also don't think Chris Rock owed an apology. Period.
He do owe an apology.
No, me and Daniel disagreed on that. And me and you disagree on that. I don't think he did anything wrong.
Me either. I don't think he owed one either. I'm with Ray.
So sorry, I just happened
he's just being a comedian.
I wanted to confirm that. But continue, Fred.
What was I talking about? Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the rule, man, that you have to do this to make sure you're doing the right thing. You should be built to do the right thing. And you know what the NFL need to do? Okay, let's expand teams. Let's bring in some more teams, but let's make sure we bring in a minority owner. The Denver Broncos, they have an opening. Let's make sure that's a minority. We want to do the right things, but it starts at the ownership, you guys. Like, you're not teaching 70, 80-year-old men to change their thinking. Like, they're already set in their ways. And for you to set these little steps for them to do the right thing, it's just telling me they're not doing the right thing. They're just doing something just to get by or to meet a quota. And to me, that's not right.
Fair enough. And Freddie, I don't typically agree with a lot of that, what you say. But no, I agree that it definitely starts at the ownership. And if they were going to force something, I think they should have forced whenever Denver sells, and even when Carolina sold, I think it should have been forced that they had to sell to a minority group. Similar to what we're seeing with the Supreme Court, where the president came out and said, this is who I'm going to hire, and this is what I'm going to do. I think that's what it takes at this point. Because if you leave it up to, I think someone said, the 31 white owners, they're not going to do the right thing. It's proven. We've incentivized, we've educated, we've pipelined, we've done everything we can, and then we still see the Cliff Kingsburys who had losing records get jobs in phenomenal situations. We've watched Josh McDaniels literally accept the job, turn it down while they set up a press conference and get another opportunity.
A year later.
So
2 years later.
2 years later. And that team, the offense was not what was exciting about New England this past year. There was little about the offense that said, yeah, we want that offense here in Vegas with all the talent they have. So outside of Tom Brady, what has he done? Quick update, Toronto's now up 3 in overtime. It's about 1 minute and 47 left. So we'll see Siakam's kind of beasting on them. But no, that's kind of my take. I think it's disappointing that it's taken this. Again, I don't think whatever that potential token hire will have much of any credibility in the real hiring process. If real offensive coordinators can't get jobs, this guy that they forced you to hire, I don't see him getting a job either. But I agree with you, Freddie, and I believe it was Mike that also said we we are going to need a difference in ownership. Like it's not going to happen at the GM or president level. It's going to happen at the ownership level. And until that changes, I don't know that we will see a difference. But I guess it's a step. I'm just not super optimistic of how much of a step it is. But speaking of steps, the Cleveland Browns took another step forward in this past week by bringing in their new quarterback with his massive, fully guaranteed deal. And I'm not going to lie, the press conference was awkward. It did not flow all that well. It was a lot of redundant, repetitive questions that reporters knew could not be answered, but you have to do it. So, Freddie, before you get out of here, and I got to be to work at 8, so I got to get up early too, just so you know. And that's Eastern Standard Time. What are your thoughts on the Deshaun Watson press conference?
I mean, it's going to be a year-round thing. You know, they're going to continue to ask them questions. It's like I always say, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. If he's done it, like, hey, he deserved to get in trouble. But they found no charges against him. It's just a tough situation, man, because, you know, you have so many. It's like, what, 23?
22 lawsuits. Apparently there's more, but only the 22 lawsuits.
Yeah. I mean, that part right there is so hard. But at the end of the day, he's innocent because they did not find it. They did not press any charges. He's not going to jail or anything. He's found innocent. But
by 2 different courts.
Huh?
By 2 different courts, they refused
to. But could you imagine being a teammate? Like that part is good. That process is gonna be so hard. Like you think, you know, you try to think of him as a teammate, but you thinking, oh, this man got this on him, he could do this. But at the end of the day, like I said, he's innocent until proven guilty. I pray that that's the truth. But you know, I think we're in a time of society. If a female's caught lying, I want this to happen. I really do, because I have my own thinking about what happened. I personally, you know, think or kind of have a feeling that the Houston Texans kind of put this on him in a way, because he did request a trade, and it's funny right after that trade that this happens. But if this is found out, if any situation like this is found, I'm not even just talking about athletes. I'm talking about just a regular Joe Bro in the street. If a female's lying and they get caught lying, they deserve to do time as well. Because one thing you've done is you tarnished another man's name. You done tarnished another man's reputation. You done tarnished another man for making money, for future jobs or whatever. Because you have that floating around you. Everywhere he walks, they're like, oh, they're not talking about Deshaun, the football player. They're talking about Deshaun Watson and all these cases. And so that part is just very embarrassing. And I just hope that he didn't do it. But if he did do it, he definitely deserved the time.
So I'll kind of respond to that a bit. So here's and now I would say we are in sports media. My issue with sports media is, Freddie, you're right. It should be innocent until proven guilty. But I've read so many articles, and 2 came out today, and I don't remember the 2 that wrote them, basically saying the Browns should be ashamed of themselves for this decision. And that seems to be the overwhelming idea, is that the Browns didn't do enough diligence because they didn't go speak with the women. Well, if the courts already have said we're not going to move forward, what did they need to talk to them about? Like, in this, and I think we live in this alternate reality or something where people are just they don't know what it's like to be young and super rich and attractive. No, this is not to be weird or anything, but Deshaun Watson's a relatively attractive young man. He has a lot going for him. He does a lot of good things. He reached out to attractive women via Instagram. By all accounts, flew them out, put them up for a massage. Now, are the numbers unique? Yes, because that's a lot. I ain't gonna lie to you. But to his point in the press conference, this was over a period of time. This wasn't like in a week. This was over a course of time where he found different attractive women. And I believe he chose attractive women for a reason. And they came on their own volition. And I believe they received payment. And I would be very curious to know how many of them gave the money back after the fact. How many were so offended by
so upset, right? So traumatized
that they said, "I don't want your money." Because I would like to believe that if a woman was sexually assaulted and her assaulter threw money at her, I find it hard to believe she would pick it up and take it. Like, I'm not a woman. I've never been sexually assaulted, but I just find that a little hard to believe. It's kind of like Jesse walking around with a noose around his neck after the fact. Like, it just seems a little weird. So I guess I don't get, and people saying he should be gone for 2 years. I think Molly came out and said something like that. Molly of ESPN. He sat out a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he lost a year of his career. Yes, I believe he was paid to stay away, but he still couldn't play. A year in his prime, and he's one of the 5 best at his job in the entire world. And he had that taken from him because of an accusation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this idea that an accusation equates to guilt in a court of public opinion is just disgusting to me. And I don't know how we got here, but I don't like, it was tough to watch. This is his first time really at free agency or moving teams after he finally got the trade he wanted. And you couldn't have any celebration of your press conference because the whole thing is you asking him the same question over and over when you know he can't answer it.
And what's up with the owner not being there? Like, normally the owners
super
be there.
weird.
Very, very weird. Boston just missed a 3. There's 7 seconds left. They're down 3. Grant Williams takes a 3 and misses. It looks like Toronto's going to win. They did a separate Zoom call.
Yeah,
I don't understand that. That was odd, and I believe they deserved criticism for that, rightfully so.
Yeah, especially when you fully guaranteed the man's contract.
Right, you need to stand in front of it. And they trotted out a black man to field the questions, which I won't go down that path right now, but I didn't like the optics of it.
Sure.
And I didn't hear the takeaways from the Zoom call that they had, so I don't know if more was divulged. Nothing was really reported of it, so I imagine not a lot was touched on. But that I didn't like by any stretch. Even if you're not going to speak or take questions, this is the face of your franchise. Why are you not there showing support for the guy you just gave almost $250 million?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that just, I don't know. I didn't like it. But in Mike, to your point, at this point, they can go to as many counties as they want. And the state of Texas, I think, is clear that they're not moving forward.
Yeah, it's only, but yeah, the criminal element has been totally, dismissed. So that's not even an element in this. This is strictly civil.
And for him,
make sure that we're clear on that.
I'm not settling. Like, that to me should give some credence to how he feels about this. I'm not settling. I'm in this to clear my name. But we are still getting articles about how dumb and tone deaf and everything that Cleveland was. Like, what else do you want from this man?
Mm-hmm.
Like, unless you believe he's guilty, like, what else do you want him to say or do? He vehemently said between his mother and his aunts, he said, I never assaulted one or disrespected anyone. So it wasn't even like I didn't just assault him. I didn't even disrespect these women. So even in that situation, I treated them with respect. Like, and I'm going to fight to clear my name. Like, what else can you ask for?
Mm-hmm.
We just need to get back to you're innocent until proven guilty. I mean, until there's real evidence, you're innocent, and we need to treat you that way. Right now, to me, he's Deshaun Watson, the football player. He's not Deshaun Watson, whatever it is they want to call him. So
Yeah. No, I'll be brief. I just think the bottom line is that, the questions, it should have really been, the questions should have, a couple of questions about this issue, but the majority of the questions should have been about football in this press conference. Because as we've already stated, the criminal element is not, it's been totally dismissed. It's not a factor in the situation. It's just strictly a civil thing. And the only question that there should be is whether or not he's going to have to face any discipline from the league. As long as that element is not has not been discussed or hasn't been adjudicated, then we need to focus this discussion on football. And it's sad. It's unfortunate. Like you said. And to me, it seems like this was a situation where. I think these are scorned women, and I want to be careful with what I say, but to me, this really is coming off as these women didn't get what they wanted from Deshaun Watson, and now they're just trying to another means of trying to get what they want from him, because we know that sexual assault is a serious crime. Like, if there was any evidence as to there was some serious sexual assault, then I do not think that they would have not pursued criminal charges. The fact that they did not pursue criminal charges says that they could not find anything to be able to prove these cases in 22 women. Like, that means that you had to do some type of investigation, and I don't want to get too graphic, but we know that they would have to, really talk to these women, investigate these women, whether it's, their bodies or whatever the case may be, without being too graphic. But all of these things had to be pursued in order for them to be able to pursue these criminal charges. And the fact that they've been dismissed on all these accounts, then that says a lot. Now, kind of understand the statute of limitations aren't, for sexual assault, there's no statute of limitations. Yes, they can be ultimately tried again at some point in time, but the longer that it goes, the harder it is for it to be proven. So if they were going to be able to prove this case, then they would have pursued it now. So I just think it's unfortunate. I think at the end of the day, man, he really needs to be able to get back to pursuing his career, because he's already lost a year of his career from this matter. So it's just time for us to really start moving forward. And the NFL needs to need to make a decision as well. Like, they're going to have to decide whether or not they're going to suspend him, or they're going to punish him or do something, because all of this lingering and you're not making a decision, that's also unfair to him as well.
No, I think that's a valid point. And again, to punish him when we all know he sat out for a year based on allegations there was no criminal element, there was no settlement, there's been nothing that says he did any of the things he's been accused of, and even still he potentially would get suspended. And some people are saying minimum of 6 games. That just, to me, is just absurd. Like, what are we doing as a society that we're to that point? Like, so at any point, someone can just make something up, and until it's adjudicated in some form of fashion, you just got to eat it. And it could be completely false. It could be collusion. It could be a whole bunch of things, and you have no real recourse. Like, Rusty Harden's not cheap.
No,
so you're having to pay to defend this for all this time. Right. And if it goes away and he wins all the civil suits, does he get any of those lawyer fees back? No. Are those women, imagine if he then turned on and tried to sue them? Like, the optics would be just
and the other part is that if it was more cost efficient for you to settle with these people, the fact of the matter is that you're willing to spend the extra money to defend your name. What does that say?
Right. I think that, to me, it should say a lot. And Con, like I said, you're right. There could be more, but I find it hard to believe that based on what we've seen, all of a sudden somebody's just going to take up this case and try it. And, like, I just don't think that's realistic. but we will see on that. But we'll get back to some lighter news with the NBA. So the NBA has been a revolving door of who's hot and who's not. Boston was riding high, went from 11th to 1st, and then tonight they catch an L. We've seen Miami rise to the top, and then they went on quite the slide. And now they did get a win tonight against Sacramento, which is not saying much, but it is a win to kind of get on the right path. We've seen the Warriors just seemingly falling apart. The Lakers have who knows what in the world they're doing. They constantly blow double-digit leads, even when LeBron's going great in the first. And at some point, I hope society goes back and gives Skip Bayless more credit and respect that he deserves. Yes, he goes above and beyond to me about his hating on LeBron on Twitter, but his criticisms of LeBron late in games and ability to close games, I think needs to get a lot more credence than it gets other than just a hater hating. Like, there's no way this team should be this bad and losing this many big leads with a player of his caliber, in my opinion. But given that, we've seen with Brooklyn and even Kyrie coming back and them still losing to Charlotte the other night, which is not a great loss. Kenny, I ask, what are your top 5 teams in the NBA?
Sure. I have no idea. Because as soon as I think that I know, it's like one of these things that, things change. Like I'm going to use a Stephen A term. It's fluid. Because this thing changes from week to week. And Con, I wanted to ask you really quick before I make my point. You had said you had great stories about Reggie Lewis. Did you know Patrick Irvin at Boston University? And you could just put it in the comments. But in terms of top 5, man, I think the only 2 that we know that are for sure are Phoenix and Memphis. I think those are the only 2 right now that we can say for sure that we know of are our top 5. The other 3, you could probably have 5 teams that you could put in those 3 slots. But for me, I'm going to go I'm going to go with Milwaukee. I'm going to go with Boston. And I'm going to go with, oh, man, this 5th one is hard. I'll go Philly. But with no real conviction. So I got Phoenix, Memphis, Milwaukee, Boston, and Philly.
I'm not going to stray too far away from that. And we used to have a great young man by the name of Mike Hughes that used to be on our show. And I will say that conveniently, as Chicago has fallen from grace and plummeted almost to their 1 game out of a play-in, Mike Hughes has been missing in action. So, Mike, we'd love, if you're out there, we'd love to have you back one show just to talk about the Chicago.
Yes, he's another one. It was Eastern Conference Finals. Bulls going to Eastern Conference Finals, and Freddie, he was, just wait, we're coming. And ever since their teams went into the tank, we can't find these guys.
Yes,
they just go into, they go into the witness protection program or something.
So no, I'm with a lot of what you said. It's really hard to have a definitive top 5. I think you're right. Memphis and Phoenix are definitely 1 and 2. That's no doubt. I'm pretty comfortable in having Milwaukee at 3. Not super comfortable, but pretty comfortable. I am going to go Philly at 4 as well. I just refuse to believe in Boston. I want to believe in Miami, who's back in 1st, and Boston's now fell back to 4th. 1 through 4 is literally a game apart in the East. So we have a heck of a finish ahead of us in those seedings, because that can make a huge difference in matchup.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to go out west for my 5th team.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Dallas. I'm really
That's
impressed
interesting.
by I think the Spencer Dinwiddie transaction. Washington gave another one away. For
but KP is playing well for you guys, though.
Yeah, and we suck. He's just so inconsistent. He gave us 30 the other night, but there's nights he'll give you 12.
Yeah.
So you
But
never.
to be fair though, Dinwiddie wasn't playing well for you guys either.
He was still getting back from the injury, man. We could have, and he's looking like the perfect complement to what Luka wants. Just to give you a quick update, the Spurs, who are hot are a game behind the Lakers, are up 1 with 9 seconds left. So if they win this game, they would, I believe, be in a tie with the Lakers, they have the tiebreaker. So that would knock the Lakers out of the play-in tournament.
Look, okay, boy, oh boy, if somehow the Lakers don't make the play-in, oh my goodness, it's gonna be some talk radio and talking sports. We're gonna have some great material, boy. I tell you.
Yes, we will. With 3 potentially Hall of Famers not even making the play.
Oh my gosh! Right. And Frank Vogel, they won't be able to fire him fast enough.
Oh yeah, he's definitely going to go. But and we don't have to necessarily go down this path. But there's so much unknown. I don't know who really is signing up to take that job immediately until you have some kind of resolution on that roster, because that roster could be a totally different roster. If Russ is gone, LeBron wants out, all those
players are gone. Yeah, it's not a great job. Like you said, you got these old pieces. You have. But I will say this though, is that they got a lot of guys on 1-year deals, so they could remake that roster relatively quickly. Because I think we got Carmelo, Malik Monk is on a 1-year deal, I want to say.
Yeah, I think the only people on multi-year deals are the rookies.
Ellington is on a 1-year deal. So they got 3 or 4 guys, I want to say, that are on 1-year deals. Howard's on a 1-year deal. So they got a few guys that can remake their roster. But the question is in terms of cap space, like how much cap space are you going to have? So you're going to have to do, like you did last year, is to get, these guys to come in on these veteran minimum deals, So that's going to be hard. Think
guys take veteran minimum deals to go play with Taylor.
Exactly. And, it's not a prime LeBron. So like the incentive is not the same.
So definitely a lot up in the air there. But that is my 5. Again, that could change definitely by Thursday when we record again and go live for you guys. So we will definitely keep that abreast. But that top 4 in the East it's a gauntlet, and all the way through even.
So 1 game difference. From 1 to 4 is a 1 game difference. So we could literally see the top 4 seeds all change in this next week or so.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And the Knicks, who have won 4 in a row, they're not.
Keep sitting down, Julius Randle. Take your time.
They ain't dead yet. They I think they won again tonight, I believe.
They did. They beat the Bulls.
Yeah.
But that's going to be tough, though. They're 4.5 games back of Atlanta, and Atlanta they don't look like they're slowing down. So it's going to be really hard for the Knicks to make the playoffs.
Yeah, Atlanta, I believe they won again tonight. I thought I saw that somewhere. Yeah, they beat the Pacers. So interesting times to say the least. But that brings us to neither one of us had them in our top 5, and currently they are in first place. I believe we talked about it before after the fight on the bench, and I said it's a big deal. And it wasn't just something that was going to go away, and they went on the slide until tonight. But Miami, in your opinion, can they right the ship?
I think they can. And real quick comment, Dedrick's my uncle. That's why I asked about that. So that's really cool. Small world. But Miami, I think they can. They have the talent to do it. They have the coach to do it. So I think they can. It's just a matter of them, just I think they still, I think the biggest thing for them, and I said this is the question is going to be for them, especially going into the playoffs, is that when you need a bucket, who are you going to get a bucket? Like, do you go to Jimmy Butler? Do you go to Kyle Lowry? Do you go to Tyler Hero? Do you go to Bam? Like, I think that's really the issue, and I think that's really the crux of their struggles is that if they're in a close game, then they have questions as to who's going to close the game out for them. So I think that's really the challenge for them, and I think that's what's been happening is they kind of, went into this. I think this was a microcosm of what the issues have been with the team. So I'm not sure. I think they can fix it because they have the culture. Like I said, they have the head coach and they got the talent to do it. I'm just not sure if they can.
I agree, and to the point that do I think they are a finals contender? I don't. I think I have them maybe fourth in the East. I will take Milwaukee, Philly, and even Boston ahead of them right now.
I agree.
And I think there's the talent is there. Victor Oladipo could be a great find as he's come back, but he hasn't proven to be that by definitely not rounding into the all-star form he once had. And that would definitely take time. But to your point, when it gets to crunch time, you got to have somebody that can go get a bucket consistently.
Yep.
And that's been my issue with Chicago all year. I don't trust that DeMar DeRozan in his mid-range is enough in those moments. Giannis, you can't stop him from getting to the basket. Embiid, you can't stop him from getting to the basket. Jason Tatum, he can get wherever he needs to get because his dribble's good enough, and he can shoot from three, so you have to play up on him, which allows him to go by you.
Even Jaylen Brown can get his own shot.
Jaylen Brown as well. So I think that they fall into that category where do I really trust Tyler Hero to go 1-4 flat, as Gilbert Arenas calls it, to get the shot? I don't. So it'll definitely be interesting to see, especially if they're not shooting well. If Duncan Robinson's not hot, they don't have a bunch of great shooters. I definitely don't trust Kyle Lowry in the playoffs. A bunch of big threes.
Hero and Duncan Robinson, those are the only two really consistent shooters that they have.
So I definitely think they have a hard time ahead of them. And just to give you an update, the Spurs did win. So they have now moved into the 10th spot. And tomorrow night, the Lakers are at Mavs. So that does not shape up well for them to get that game back now. No, the Mavs are in the hunt. So I can't even imagine they'll sit anybody for that game.
No, they're right there at the 5, I think.
They are currently at the
I just was looking at it.
4 seed. They're the 4 seed.
Okay, yeah.
And they're only 2 games behind Golden State, so they could potentially get up to the 3 seed.
Definitely.
With the way they're playing, and they're 6-4 their last 10, but by and large, Luka's been playing pretty well. So if you can get to the 3 seed and you have to run into maybe Denver, I think they like that matchup. But I really think they might want to stay at the 5-4 if they can get Utah. But I think Utah will keep falling. I think Utah is in free fall. I think that's troubling. Iverson is reporting that LeBron is out tomorrow. So they definitely should get whacked.
And I'm looking at their schedule down the stretch, man. They got Dallas, Utah, New Orleans, Denver, Phoenix, Golden State, Oklahoma City, and Denver. They got one easy game.
Yeah. And Oklahoma City on the right night. The Oklahoma City, I think, came back from down 20 early this year against LA.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, out of all of those games, really the only, like, easier game, you know what I'm saying? That is OKC. All the rest of those teams, every other team is against a playoff team.
And they all
game.
They're not playing like the Suns who are solidified. Utah is going to be fighting. New Orleans is going to be fighting. So we very well might see.
It's a tough road. They're going to earn this one.
Yeah. They'll be lucky to get the 35 wins this year. And they're currently at 31. So, man, LeBron in the lottery. Who would have thought at the beginning of this year? I think I saw a thing that said Kendrick Perkins had a tweet that said at the beginning of this year, this team might win 70 games.
That didn't age well.
And so one of those tweets that you definitely
Yeah.
probably want to go back and delete.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, so in relation to, we talked about Boston, and I have a hard time believing in them. I really, really like Tatum.
Come on, gotta get them their credit. You gotta give them their credit, Ray. Come on.
And they've gone on an amazing run. And they are making me a believer. I stand correct. I said the same thing about Memphis earlier. I was in a group chat and I was going in on this guy who was talking about how good Memphis was, and they made me out to be a liar. And I love that. Like, I don't mind being wrong and admitting when I'm wrong. But Boston coming in tonight was the 1 seed. They've now fallen back to the 4 seed with their loss. But if you had to pick, is Boston the best team in the East right now? And if not, who do you have?
I'm not ready to say that they're the best team in the East yet. For me, it's between Milwaukee and Philly. And I'm just going to, because they're the defending champs, I'm going to go with Milwaukee. Especially now that they got Brook Lopez back. I think that's a big help for them in terms of, just having another guy with size. And that Nick could kind of cut back on Giannis's minutes because he's kind of gotten banged up over the last couple of weeks. And maybe, they could cut his minutes down to make sure that he's healthy going into the playoffs. So, yeah, I'm not ready to say that the Celtics are the best team in the East. I do think that they're a threat in the East, though, for sure. Because like I said, they got two guys that can at any point get their own shot. And that's key. That's important when it comes to playoff time. They have those two guys that can get their shot at any time, makes them a threat. And then, they defend. They got a couple of, rough riders in terms of Marcus Smart and Robert Williams, although he just went down with an injury. Hopefully,
meniscus.
Yeah. Hopefully they can get him back. Hopefully they could, make it past the first round and get him back. Maybe in that second round, they said maybe midway through the playoffs they could get him back, perhaps. But then again, we're still waiting for James Wiseman to come back, and he had a torn meniscus, so who knows? So that's a really big loss for them. But the getting Daniel Dice back that's going to be pivot. That's going to be really important for them now. That's it's really going to help them. Al Horford is going to have to step up some more and play some more minutes as well. So, but I just think that because they have those two guys that they can definitely compete in the East. I'm just not sure if they're good enough to make it all the way to the conference finals, especially now losing Robert Williams. If they had Robert Williams and they were healthy, then I think that they would have a chance just because of the way they defend and the way that he protects the rim. But losing him, I think that really is going to have an impact on them defensively, and it's not as a result, I don't think they're going to be as good as they were.
And to your point, I pulled up their schedule, and their schedule is not great either. They finish with the next games at home against the Heat. They get a home game against the Pacers. They get the Wizards at home, and then they finish with Bulls, Bucks, and Grizzlies. And it's at Grizzlies, it's at Bulls, at Bucks, and at Grizzlies to finish the year.
Wow.
So to your point, they that's a bit of a gauntlet to finish the year with Williams out. So it'll be interesting to see. I think like you said, we will have a lot of movement going on. I also, like I said, obviously, I don't think Boston's the best team in the East, but they are. I got them third, but I'm still going to go with Milwaukee. Like you, I think that core, and I'm not a big Middleton guy, but I like Middleton more than I like Tobias. And the Nets don't seem to – they haven't flipped the switch yet. Like, they're still there, but I'm still not seeing it. It's just so many moving parts. Seth is finally back. It's like they can't stay together for more than a week. So I have a hard time completely buying in. I think it's good for basketball getting to the playoffs. But then it would kind of suck to have – actually, it wouldn't be too bad if we had a Philly-Brooklyn first-round matchup with Philly.
Oh, man. That'd be must-see TV.
So if they can get the 1 seed and then have to play Brooklyn in the first round, that would be something for sure. But I'm going to go Milwaukee just because, like you said, they've been proven, they've been tested, and I think they have the best player in the East outside of Embiid, and I think Embiid and Giannis are pretty equal in different ways. So,
So you got him over Durant too?
Yeah. I don't want to say nothing crazy, but Durant just doesn't move the needle as much for me as I think he does for other people. I've seen him do phenomenal, efficient things, but as far as closing teams out, I haven't seen that this year. He had the big shot against the Bucks last year, I know, but his toe was on the line. And I just think with his health and his frame and that offense, I would take both of those guys ahead of KD today.
Okay.
The last thing that we will touch on and going in a completely different direction and wrapping this up is because more and more reports I've seen kind of floated out there are that there was more friction in Tampa Bay than maybe previously expected, not just with AB, but between Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. And so we have seen a number of players come back to play, believably so, for Tom Brady. Most of which have gotten paid, though. I don't think many have taken pay cuts to necessarily come back. So with that being the case, the report or idea of Miami with what they've done, trying to go get Brady, if you are Miami, do you do, whether it's Watson-esque or whatever you have to do or whatever you have left after the Tyreek Hill deal, do you go get Tom Brady?
Oh, that's a great question. I think if you have the opportunity to do it, I think you would, especially with those weapons that you have there. Like if there's anybody that would be able to, utilize those weapons to, the best of, to, maximize those weapons, it would be Tom Brady. And then also you could kind of, it's assuming that you're trading to Tampa, you could kind of get out from under, his, him and worrying about having to build the team around him. And, that gives you a chance to reset because you're only going to have Brady for, maybe 1, maybe 2 years tops. And you can kind of reset your franchise in terms of picking another quarterback. So I think it's a win-win for them in both sides, in both ways. So if I'm Miami, I definitely would do that because, we've all said that with all the weapons that they have, the only question that they have is at quarterback. And if you have Tom Brady pulling the trigger at quarterback, then that question is answered.
No, I agree, but I think even of a lesser amount, I would consider. Actually, I probably wouldn't do that. That's not true. No, I agree. I think if you can, I don't know what draft picks you have left, but if you can move Tua and maybe a young defender and a couple pieces to get Tom Brady, I think the league is kicking themselves for allowing Tom Brady to walk to Tampa Bay. I think whether you're Dallas, whether you're Washington, whether you're San Francisco, I think a lot of these teams miss that. And so if you are in a position to go get him, I definitely think you go and do that because he's proven that he can play and you give him the talent. He can do really, really good things. So I definitely think that is a great decision. And quick update, Michigan and Louisville, it's a 2-point game here where Louisville is starting the fourth quarter up 2 as the 1 seed. So y'all definitely tune into that. Support these women. Louisville just hit another bucket, so great opportunity there. But yeah, great evening. The last piece I will ask you before we get out of here, Kenny. The Giants GM said they are not trading Saquon Barkley, and they have gotten calls. Should they look to move on from Saquon? I think you might have froze up on me, Kenny. Okay. I don't know if you can still hear me, Kenny, but I think you are frozen. But nonetheless, the Giants have said that they aren't going to trade Saquon. I think that's a mistake. I don't think they're going to pay him the big money, so I think it's worth getting what you can for him before he walks out the door. But we will see kind of how that plays itself out. But again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Another great episode. I know we started off with some non-sports things, but you know how we do. We got to talk about things in the culture as well. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. We are back on Thursday on the ASAP Network at 9:00 Eastern Time, covering some of the different goings of on. If you like you said, if you're watching like we're watching, there is definitely a lot to discuss when it comes to the NBA. So we will cover that. Any NFL news as we get closer to the draft, we'll definitely keep you abreast of that. We also have a lot of different things going on in relation to the network. We have some things coming out where we covered the Arena League this weekend. I wanted to give Freddie a chance to talk about that, but he had to jump off. Damien said Kenny got the Chris Rock.
That's funny.
Well said.
That's a lot.
We ran out of here when we started talking Giants talk. But before we wrap, I did want to ask, the Giants GM said he is not going to trade Saquon, even though they have gotten calls. Do you think that's the right decision?
I don't know. I think it's tough. I think because you have so many questions in terms of you've never seen that team like fully assembled. They've never been able to really keep have all of the pieces together all at the same time to see whether or not they all fit. So I'm not sure if you try one more year to see and comment. I'm gonna definitely reach out to you for sure. I don't know if you try one more, you try to bring the team back together, or you try to, bring the band back together for one more run. And, just because you got questions in terms of Daniel Jones as well. So I don't know. I think I may just go ahead and run it one more time and then see if what we can get out of it. And then, also, I think that the trade market for Saquon Barkley, I don't think the market is the greatest because he's come off 2 injury-plagued seasons. So I think even if you try to move him, you're going to get 50 cents on a dollar. So I think it's in their best interest to try to see if they can get some productivity out of him, and then try to trade him coming off of a productive season. I think trying to trade him now wouldn't be in their best interest.
Okay. But we'll definitely kind of keep track of that. We got the draft coming up where more moves may be made, people moving up or down for different talent pieces. But if you bring him back and he's at the end of the deal, then you potentially let him walk away for nothing.
Exactly.
And to your point, we haven't seen him with a good quarterback and a good offensive line, which could make all the difference in the world. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, I hope the Giants continue to suck as a Commanders fan. But the NFC is wide open. So if they could put something together, there is opportunity there for sure. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. Continue to like, share, and subscribe. ASAP's continuing to grow and expand. Minds of Creativity is kind of an offshoot of us as well. Some great content and things over there. So we appreciate y'all and look forward to seeing y'all next week. Have a good night.
Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays.